after we had our wines, me and my girlfriend went to the dance floor and we were like, oh, we'll just have a wee dance and we'll go home. And then I remember feeling, I said to her, I was like, oh, something's not right. And I was like, I need to go to the bathroom.
So you already felt like...
I knew instantly. I was like, something is not right. Because I never used to be a big drinker before this happened. And I went to the bathroom, and then next minute, I'm going to try and shut the door, and he's right in the cubicle. And
oh my God.
Yeah, pretty much just took over me and up against the wall, like hands right up against, and I had no control. Like everything was just numb, weak. And I knew what was about to happen. Like I just had that instant fear. And it just happened. And I remember recalling, I said, stop. And he just forced my body. And I could not even fight back.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then he said to me, I remember the sentence, you need to walk out before me.
When you woke up that next day, did you tell anyone? Did you want to tell anyone?
Not straight away. I think for me it was more of a process thing. I got to netball and I ended up watching. I couldn't play. And my friend was there and she told me what had happened to her that night. And I was completely gobsmacked, and I was like, oh my God, this is what happened to me.
What was it like learning that your friend had gone through that as well?
Oh, it was sickening. So sickening.
Those those crisis days after that happened, how did you get through that?
For me, the first couple of days was such a blur because when I go to it in a state of mind like I did, I can't even think. And I remember talking to my girlfriend who I lived with because she knew something was up. And I spoke to her about it, and then it was a couple days after I received a phone call from the police. And my friend had actually, spoke to them about what had happened to me that night. And I remember that phone call, and I remember just talking to them step by step what happened. And then they said to me, you're not the only person from this, Mama Hooch, but, and I could not believe it at all. And then they were obviously like, would you like to come down to the station and make a formal complaint? And I think knowing others were involved kind of pushed me to do that. But I was, like, still to this day, I still can't believe that there was so many people involved in this court case. And even after, and even when I was, at the police station after I'd given my statement, that night was going back through my mind, like, what was I wearing? What were my actions? And I kept telling myself, the night that it happened, I was wearing a high halter neck dress, and it went down to like just above my knees, and even I looked back at my actions and I was like, I was sitting at a table with my girlfriend, having a catch up, having a conversation in a place where I felt that I was safe.
It's hard how we rationalise it, because no matter what you're wearing or what you're doing, this is illegal and this is disgusting conduct. But I think sometimes, especially as women, we try to think, oh, this wouldn't happen to me because I don't walk at night, or I don't get too drunk, or whatever it is someone might think that they do to stay safe. And this to happen, like, did that disrupt your sense of safety?
Yeah, to the point that I was going out every weekend after that and just getting completely blacked out drunk. And I never ever drank. I never went out. I never, that wasn't my lifestyle. But after that, I would just go out drinking every weekend. And I think it was just to cover it all up, to not think about it, to just numb myself.
Did it work?
To a point, until I hit rock bottom.
And so during that statement and during that initial kind of investigation process, did you get much support from your friends and family?
My friends who knew what happened, they were amazing. And my family were great, but they didn't know the full detail of what had happened.
What did they think happened?
They just thought I was involved in a crazy night out.
Wow. How did you break the news?
I think the night where I got assaulted again, and I was in hospital with, the next day for concussion, it's when I ended up telling them. And when it started going through, the courts as well, started getting a bit more serious than what it was to start with.
How did they take it?
I think they took, I wasn't there, they were in Dunedin. And so I didn't really talk about it with them a lot because I just put on a brave face to everyone, to just show that I'm okay, nothing can hurt me, I'm completely fine. But I don't think they knew the full extent until it came to sentencing. And my mum was sitting in the courtroom.
So she only found out last year. Do you think you were maybe trying to protect her?
Potentially.
Or were you just, it's hard to have those conversations with your parents because, they're the people that that normally help.
Yeah.
And I think when you are a parent, it's your worst nightmare to find out that your baby has gone through something like this.
But I also think it was because, I make out that I'm just the strong one in the family and that I'm just, I'm always bright and bubbly and laughing, that, nothing can affect me. But I think, my mum definitely found it very hard when she was sitting in that courtroom and heard the charges.
Do you think you would change things now and tell her earlier, or do you, it must have been so hard for you at the time, you're so young?
It was very hard, yeah. But I think that's also why, I turned so heavily to drinking, just to, to numb it, to be like, no, I'm okay. Nothing, that's not going to stop me from not continuing to live my life.
In those moments, after the verdicts were announced and then later on the sentence, how did you feel?
I feel like it happened all so fast. I just remember sitting there and just hearing, what he was guilty for. And then his sentencing. I was trying so hard just to hold it together because I could see my mum out of the corner of my eye, and, as soon as I broke, she got quite upset.
And because this is the first time she's learning about the details.
Or the full detail, yeah. Obviously she knew, and my family knew, that I was involved in a drugging and sexual assault court case. But they didn't know the full details, what had happened to me, which I feel like they could have pieced it together without me having to go into full detail. But after the sentencing, where the judge, would say our charge and then the description, I think that was quite tough for mum to hear. And so that knowing, that was the first time mum hearing the charge, that broke me.
Did you know that was going to happen?
No.
And were you maybe do you think you were consciously trying to protect her from the full details?
Yep.
I know that part of the reason why you wanted to come forward and tell your story is because you're a teacher. Could you go into that?
Yeah, so for me, like my everyday role is to protect these children, and is to, you know, I advocate for these children and make sure they're protected, they're safe, their well-being is looked after, you know, while they're in my care. And I think the same goes as I feel like I am in a position where I need to protect other young women from, you know, what has happened to them or what could happen to them. And I feel like, you know, raising awareness around sexual assault and, you know, looking out for signs of, you know, even drugging or, you know, being cautious of your surroundings, or if you were ever in that situation and it did happen to you, what it can look like after the process.
I think also the fact that you've gone through this two horrific incidents that no one should ever go through, and still you went, you got a degree, and now you're teaching. That's something to be really proud of.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest New Zealand Herald news, click the subscribe button below or check out one of these videos, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more news worth knowing.